And then I started looking at the others and I was like, I don't want to start like accidentally steal ideas. I wanted ours to be very different. And the way that we did that was to work with these amazing actors to completely reimagine the story in their hands.
Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America. In this episode, a social gathering puts an unsteady marriage to the test, in director Olivia Wilde's romantic dramedy, The Invite. The film tells the stories of Joe and Angela, their marriage on thin ice, as they decide to invite their enigmatic upstairs neighbors over for a dinner party. As the event unfolds, the night spirals into unexpected places, potentially reigniting the spark in their marriage, or lighting the match that could burn it all down. In addition to The Invite, Wilde's other directorial credits include the feature films Don't Worry Darling and Booksmart. Following a screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Wilde spoke with directors Matt and Ross Duffer about filming The Invite. Listen on for their spoiler-filled conversation.
Well, first off, congrats, Olivia.
Thank you.
The movie is amazing. So funny, so insightful, and just beautifully crafted. It feels almost like something you'd find like in the Criterion closet, like some undiscovered movie from the 70s, except that it's, you and Seth Rogen, which is confusing. First question, we talked about this a little back there, which is that do you think this movie will result in a bunch of divorces and or just like really difficult talks on the ride home?
I hope not. I hope that it results in a lot of really interesting conversations. So far, I've had many couples come up to me and say that it led to some really interesting conversations and also led them to be able to recognize that they've had in their marriages, let's just say, several marriages within that marriage or several relationships within their relationship. My parents watched the movie and said to me, oh yeah, we've had 3 relationships with each other. And I was like, you've never said that. I've never known that. But this movie allowed that kind of conversation. And then I think some people, maybe it allows them to see that they're allowed to not be in a relationship. But I think ultimately it's a romantic movie, and I think there's a lot of optimism, at least intended.
So you could save marriages, is what you're saying?
Yes.
You could. Okay, so just going back, so I'm going to talk a little bit about like the genesis of the project, because before this, you had done kind of the polar opposite of this, which is like a big studio movie, tons of locations or whatever, and this is like on the other side of that. I mean, this is like a chamber drama. It's based on a Spanish film and a Spanish play. So like, what about, I'm assuming the script came to you, or what drew you to do this?
Yes. So I was looking for something that would allow me to just like scrape everything else away and just focus on relationships. Like I really just wanted to kind of boil everything down to a project that would just let me talk about relationship. I was looking for a love story. I was like, I just want to find a simple love story. I love just working with actors on how to create authentic relationships with each other. So I was looking for that. And I wanted to also find something that would let me actually rehearse with actors, workshop. And my ultimate dream had been to find something that would allow me to shoot in order. It's something I've always wanted to do as an actor, and I never have been able to. So when I got the script, I was like, wait a minute, this allows for the single location to give us the chance to shoot everything in order. We could produce this like a play. We could rehearse. We could workshop the material. It was like, wait, this is a great story and a great script, and also allows for this like dream that I had for the way I wanted to make a movie. And I also wanted to remove all the kind of bells and whistles and like crutches that I think I had maybe relied on before. Like my first things were directing music videos. I'm very kind of like aggressive in my editorial style, and I like magical realism, and I like music, and I like to have fun. And I was like, what can I tell a story without any of that? Can I like tie my hands behind my back and still tell a story? So then I get this script, which Rashida and Will had adapted from this great Spanish film, which had also been adapted into 5 other languages.
Oh, yeah, so it was like there's a Korean one.
There's a Korean one, there's a German one, there's a French one, there is a...
Did you watch all of these?
Not all of them. I started
Which is the
touring.
best?
I only...
Aside from yours.
I know the Spanish one. And then I started looking at the others and I was like, I don't want to start like accidentally steal ideas. I wanted ours to be very different. And the way that we did that was to work with these amazing actors to completely reimagine the story in their hands. So for about 2 weeks before we started shooting, Rashida, Will, and the actors and myself, we sat around a table and we completely reimagined this together with all their brilliant, specific personal ideas. And then we shot in order and continued to do that the whole time. So like a week before we shot the ending, we did not know the ending. And it was terrifying. We were building the parachute on the way down, but it also made everything feel very authentic because we were only doing things that we knew our characters would do at that point based on having gotten to know them until then.
That's great. It feels like that has to be the ending, though. It's like a perfect ending.
You know,
like there's plants and payoffs.
Yes, we had the basic structure of like, I knew that the ultimate gesture Joe had to make was to play the piano.
Okay.
But it was mostly, the questions were really surrounding that last scene, that conversation, really from the point of his back, throwing his back out until the piano. It was like, at one point there were a lot more words and we just kind of took out a lot. Like for instance, once Penelope and Edward kind of disappear, we say very little. And I think anyone who's ever been through a bad breakup, this moment afterwards isn't very wordy. It's often this kind of shell-shocked confusion. And I wanted to find that. And it was a little scary because it was like, what if the audience is kind of bored by this sudden silence? We've been this like very talky kind of broad comedy for so many minutes. What if they're like bored by silence? And it took me, I had to find the kind of courage to be quiet.
It's amazing. Just about shooting style for a second, it feels like the first instinct, because you're saying you wanted to strip everything down, like the cliche thing would be like you put a camera in your back or you do Dogma style and you just like follow these people around. And obviously it's very not like that at all. It's very precise and you've got nice camera moving, composed frames. And I just sort of wanted you to talk about the decision. And was the shot listed? Did you figure it out on the day? Because I know so much was improv too.
So it was very designed and very precise in terms of the kind of visual style, so that the actors could be really loose and spontaneous within that. But I didn't want it to seem incidental. There was nothing, I liked the idea of a designed framework around that freedom. So the film is obviously very inspired by Mike Nichols, and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf was really a North Star. And that film is incredibly intentional in its cinematography, and Haskell Wexler shot that, and it's like really emotional and visceral, even though that too is of course based on a play. And the idea being, why turn a play into a film? It better be because you're going to use the medium to like do it differently, to get you closer to the actors. And so in that film, it's just unbelievably visceral and vivid. Like the drunker they get, the drunker the camera gets. And I love that. But the lensing, all of it is so precise. And that is what Adam Newport-Berra, our extraordinary cinematographer, and I were so inspired by. We were like, let's use our framing to create something that feels very intentional and then just kind of set them free.
Yeah, that's amazing. And in terms of, is that why you shot on film, the Virginia Woolf? I mean, is that something that was always planned? And did that cause any issues with budget or schedule or time? Because I know it was a short schedule, probably.
Very short. Yeah, we had shot for 21 days on that set. It was it was a non-negotiable. And I felt that I had finally come to the point where I was willing to really die on that hill. I was like, I want to shoot film. That's what I want to do. It's not that much more expensive. It's not that much riskier and harder. They really fill you with a lot of fear. And less than 6% of films released last year were shot on film. And very few comedies. I think there's this idea that like comedies don't even really need theatrical, let alone film, that they're sort of like, oh, they're like easier and they can be seen small and shot digitally and it doesn't matter. And yet all the movies that made us want to become filmmakers, like a lot of them are comedies shot beautifully. And I was like, no, we're doing this. So I paid for the film and I was like, I'm going to invest in this because I want to do this. I know it is essential for this story. And ultimately, once the film did well at Sundance, then they paid me back. So I'm really grateful for that. I don't want to like not include that. They were very nice to pay me back. It was my choice to pay for it. They paid me back. But I can't imagine it not, because like for so many reasons that you guys fully understand. I needed it to have that texture. I needed it to have that effect on the crew and the cast. It just changes everything about the experience. I loved not knowing exactly what we shot till we saw the dailies. I loved the way it made everything feel. It was just so worth it.
That's amazing. You were like wrote a check for the film?
Yeah.
That's so baller. That's sick.
It paid off. I mean, it looks amazing. I mean, it looks incredible. And that's why it feels like a classic. It looks like a classic. It reminds me of the Nichols and the Woody Allen and all that. And it feels cinematic, even though it's in this small space. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit of the actors because it's like incredible cast, unbelievable. Everyone's at the top of their game. Everybody's fucking hilarious. But so I know, so you talked about the rehearsal, 2-week rehearsal, and then there's improvisation happening on set too. So the story's kind of shaping and evolving.
Yes.
As it's going.
Yes. And like big ideas were being generated as we were filming. So for instance, the scene with Penelope and Seth where she sings Sade, that was originally a scene of some type of seduction and bonding of some kind. And there were great words written down, but it was not precise. We didn't quite have an angle on it. And Penelope, this is the thing, the cast was just constantly working on their characters and ideas every day. There was no like clock in, show up, come to work, like kind of like know your lines, say the lines, go home, back to like Malibu. Like it wasn't the experience that one might fear one could have. It was the opposite. It was like, hey, I thought all night about the scene and I have 11 ideas and I'm so passionate and excited about it. That was from everyone. So Penelope was like, I think I should sing Sade, and I should play Sade, and I will sing to him, and we will dance and sing. And I was like, yes, that's such a good idea. I love that idea. We're definitely doing that. And she walked away, and I was like, how much does Sade cost? And she costs a lot, and she's worth every goddamn penny because it was so funny. I'm so happy we got Sade. But that was all Penelope. Then another example is Edward, that whole story he tells in the end about his name, that was not there. And a couple days before, Edward was like, hey, I have a story I want to tell at one point. And so can you just put in the script, can you just write like Hawk story? And I'll just do it on the day. And I was like, definitely. How long, like ish, if you had to guess, is the story? And he's like, I don't know. I just want to tell you on the day. And he's like, can you film yourself first so that your reaction is on camera when I do it for the first time? And I was like, all right, man, let's do it. Like, that sounds exciting. I think if it were anyone else other than these actors, my complete sense of like enjoyment in this adventure would have probably be way more riddled with anxiety. But I was just like, this is so fun. Like, everyone's coming up with great ideas. And so I knew it would probably be a long story. We put a 1,000-foot mag on the camera and just went for it. And my reaction that's in the movie was my real reaction, because I was like, what? This is the most heartbreaking story. There was nothing. There was no dead wife. That was all Edward. And the funny thing is that Seth's response is also improvised, which was so perfect. Saying, when I heard him say, "I'm sorry, your wife died, and you're glad you found a woman to peg you when you wouldn't let your dead wife peg you," I was like, I'm so grateful, because we could only have a moment that got that emotional if we were to undercut it perfectly with Seth bringing us back to earth. And it was like everyone knew the rhythm so well, and they knew when it was getting too dramatic or knew when it was getting too silly, and we felt like we were just kind of riding it. And it was, I mean, their DNA is all over this thing. It was the most collaborative thing I've ever worked on.
Was Seth's character a stoner before Seth was cast, or was that his idea?
I think there was like a reference. It was more like, oh, Joe, it was like a part of like Joe's like illicit secret sort of life that he would like go away and smoke a joint. But it was not like a part of his personality in the way that with Seth, it became something that almost made you believe that he was this musician at one point. Like when he's in that office with Penelope talking about, they're kind of like laughing about Hawk and talking about his past and his tattoos. I feel this like shadow self of young Joe in the room there. And there's something about the way he can so easily smoke that joint with her that just feels like he's back in his old skin in a way that his wife, who fell in love with him as that man, completely rejects. Completely. And we do that to each other. We really, you know, they say the thing you fall in love with most is the thing you will resent the most. Yeah. And it's like that they can't even see each other anymore. And until that last moment, I think when she can finally recognize him again, and same for him.
And in terms of though, all this improv and stuff, I'm sure there was stuff where like on the day that was really funny or whatever, and you're cutting together, it didn't work. Like, how did you maintain it such a consistent tone all the way? And how did you find that in the edit?
It was funny because there's so many funny things we didn't have space for that kill me now. They'll haunt me forever. But I think we really could, that's the thing about shooting in order, is we really could feel the tone. So I think when you shoot out of order, it's way harder to control the tone. That's like the crazy work. There's almost, we put ourselves at such a disadvantage. And I know it's logistically necessary because of like locations and schedules, but it is pretty crazy that we're like, let's shoot the hardest, most emotional scene on day one, and then maybe like a sex scene with these two people who've just met each other, and then we'll do the beginning scene at the end. I felt like the tone was speaking to us. I do think, you know, the surprises on the day that would come up that just allowed the tone to kind of percolate and change in different ways. Like everybody was so different that you had to kind of trust their energy. Like again, like Edward moves at such a different rhythm to Seth. And I think sometimes the movie's tone is Seth's kind of tone, and sometimes you're in Edward's tone. And I felt like I was like kind of weaving between them and letting them each drive the tone at different times, because you could just feel when it wanted to do that.
And did you I think I read your first cut was like really long. Like, how did you get it down? How did you kill these?
How long was it?
It wasn't that. Who told you that?
I thought it was like, you said it was like 7 hours or something. Is that not true? How long was it?
It wasn't. I never had a crazy long cut. I had it was probably like a 3-hour cut. And then I knew
so there could be an extended,
not like a real
edition.
cut. It was like a bad fat cut.
Yeah.
3 hours. There was a 2.5-hour cut that I was like, I don't know. I think it's done. And obviously wasn't. It definitely, it was about killing darlings, of course, and things like, I was so amazed by some of the things that these people had done that it felt like just a crime to cut them. Like the scene where we're up against the paint swatches and he's telling the story of rescuing a dog from a fire. That was a very long story. And actually, there was something really hilarious about playing the entirety of it. But then I was like, this is very indulgent. But there were moments also before Pina and Hawk arrive at the house. There was the fight that Joe and Angela are in actually kind of transformed into this very quiet whisper fight on the way to answer the door. And it was so much fun. It was so silly. And it was a lot of like, just don't talk about my band and don't talk about my back and like touch me once in a while. What do you mean? Just touch me. Like people who fucking love each other, touch each other. Just touch me. Like, I'm not going to touch you. Okay, shut the fuck up. Like it was a lot of that. And then we finally get to the door. But then it was so clear to me that it rhythmically ruined the following scene because I wanted them to walk into that horrible echo of fighting that you can like palpably feel when you walk into a room and you can like hear every bit of ringing out of the fight. So, I mean, that was what was so hard about cutting it. The editing this was so much fun. It took a while. It took like 6 months to edit this. And I really took my time with it in London, just sitting there poring over it. Also, no one should look at their own face on camera for that long. It was like, that was very weird. I liked acting in it in production, but editing myself was bleh.
Were you testing it? Did you test it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But Sundance was really my first time seeing it with a bunch of people. And wow. I was miserable. And I fully just like left my body and I was convinced it had bombed. I was like, well, that's it.
I thought it went over like
it did.
Crazy.
It went really well.
Just not in your head.
In my head, it was like this whole other narrative. And I got up and my hand was like welded to the chair. And then I got up at the end and Seth was like, I think that played really well. And I was like, no, it didn't. And then I got on stage and I thought everyone was leaving en masse very quickly to escape, but they were giving us a nice standing ovation. And I was like, what's happening? But yeah, that was the first time I really saw it with a big group of people.
That is terrifying.
Okay, so I do want to, you did talk on it though, talk about this, which is, I don't know how you do this, which is, actually, everything you're describing does sound sort of stressful to me, which is like people changing lines as you come in. Like, I'm like, it's so hard for me. I'm like, even when like tweaking a line around, it's stressful, but you're doing that. So you're finding the story, you're directing it, and you're acting in it. That's what I don't understand how you do.
Though, but if you imagine, like, if you were acting, you've written your scenes and you imagine how you kind of want them to feel and sound. And there is this ability when you're in the scene to drive that rhythm, and also the ability to notice things that the camera can't yet see. So we would do a scene and I would say, okay, now we have to come around because I could see what Seth was doing on you that you couldn't see, and we have to get it because now I can see it inside the scene. So it was like having this vantage point that felt really valuable. And I do think that made me understand why there's something to it. I don't know if I would ever do it again because it was like the most exhausting thing that I've ever done.
Can't imagine.
But I also was so lucky. I mean, acting with these people it's like playing in like the NBA All-Star games. Like you're like, I always say it's like, they're so good. Like you could like fling the ball and there's a high chance they'll catch it because they're just that good. And I think that's why I just went for it I just had so much fun relaxing into that character because Seth was never going to let me, they were never going to let it collapse. Like we could kind of feel how each other were doing at all times. And I mean, there's so many things about it that I think on paper look like a really like wild way to approach it. And yet you could just sense that we could trust this thing. We really created a bubble. We built that set on stage at Sunset Las Palmas, which is like the pink studio. It's like from the opening credits of The Player when he drives in. That's the one. And it was a set built on a stage by this incredible production designer, Jade Healy. She designed it over a weekend. I was like, we have 8 weeks to prep this thing. She did it. She designed it, built it. We ran into production with so much energy, and it just felt like everything just aligned in that way.
It's amazing. Was it, I mean, you had 2 other actors on there who were also direct. Was that annoying or helpful? Did they stay out of your way?
I think it's helpful because I think actor directors have a real shorthand and a real understanding of logistical things.
Like all the other bullshit you're having to deal with.
Yeah. So they would get it. Like if they were trying to like follow me around to ask a question, if I went like, hang on, one second, like I have to deal with something, they were like, yes, we understand. Everyone is asking you questions constantly. But they also just understood, I didn't have enough time to give them many takes. So I would be like, you can have like maximum 3 takes. And there was no whining. I think every actor should direct. Every director should act. It should be required.
This is a great idea. I love this. I'm all for it.
And executives should come to set and see how it works.
Executives, no, they don't need to come.
Do we not want them to come? Oh, we saw how that went on the TV.
It was, I created a set that made it like once you walked into that that apartment, there was no one but the crew. Like no one was allowed. All our monitors and everything were like very far away across the stage. So it created this really fun little bubble where it was like only the people working were there, which was a nice feeling.
Did you guys have 1 camera or 2 cameras?
1 camera until the last week we had 2 cameras. And the thing is, I'm very, fortunate to be able to play with 2 cameras, but I think that you sort of have to like choose your fighter. I think you have to have your camera and like your perspective. I think one shot always suffers, and you're like, why do we have this angle is like not as good, but we have it. So now we kind of feel compelled to use it. And I think if you're trying to capture 2 performances simultaneously, that's what we kind of used it for, because we knew that we wanted all that arguing to feel really organic. And I just wanted everyone to be able to get a lot of that stuff done at the same time. But for the most part, I think it's kind of bullshit. I think it's like pick your perspective.
Most of the time, it's like some shot of like feet out of focus. It's really
or like the
you can't like cross shooting. Yeah, is great, but the DPs they always hate it.
Because like it's you're sacrificing something.
I'm always like, can we?
Yeah, please.
No. Because it can look ugly.
Yeah.
The score. Let's talk about the score real quick. The music is amazing, obviously, but it's interesting because it's really present and intense at the beginning, and then it feels like you're very careful about when and how you bring it back later. So tell me about how you use the score and found it.
I really wanted that score to feel like a Greek chorus that was communicating what we wouldn't admit we felt. So I thought of it as like the nerves, like the strings were our actual nerves. And I thought I really wanted it to be cello. I don't know anything about music. I love music. I don't play music. I don't play the cello, but I think of it as like the most human instrument. And I approached Dev Hynes because he's a great cellist and I love everything he's done in 5 other films and I love Blood Orange. And I knew he was a real film geek. So I said, what do you think? And he read it and he was so sweet. He's like, it's like Bergman. I'm like, I don't know if it's like Bergman. I love your enthusiasm. But he was like, let's create something that is representative of the drama they feel. And we loved the juxtaposition of like high emotional stakes communicated through music versus low stakes of domestic kind of dispute. And I was really inspired by Ruben Östlund and the way he used Vivaldi in Force Majeure. And I loved that. I love when it's just like the family like peacefully like riding the ski lift up the mountain and it's like dun, 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 dun. And I think it's so funny because that's how we often feel. It's like inside this absolute calamity of sound and stress is happening, but on the outside we're like trying to be polite in a social situation. And it was so fun. We had this extraordinary music editor, this young woman named Timmery Duplot, who's unbelievable, and she and I would sit and edit the score into the performances in a way that was just making the performances much, much better, because it was like punctuation that was so fun because, like a silent look between, two people in a marriage being represented through like very intense cello was such a delight to add in.
Okay, so if Joe hadn't been taking off his pants and hurt his back, what would have happened, do you think?
It's a great question.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this.
I've been thinking, I wonder how, if one of them would have freaked out for some other reason. I think Joe might have gone through it. I think Joe might have gone through with it, because the connection between he and Pina is kind of different. Angela has had this kind of voyeuristic need to be seen in a different way, need to like express her eroticism in this way. But I don't know if she was really prepared to like get down. I feel like that wasn't actually what she was looking for. I think Joe was looking for connection and she just wanted to be seen. And I just think she probably would have bailed. And I think Joe and Pina might have like rode off into the sunset and still be together today.
Poor Joe.
I know. Damn.
I know. Or maybe he self-sabotaged.
Maybe
he threw himself off his feet.
Seth loves to fall down. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap up, but one last question, which is about the state of movies. All right. I love that this is a film, like it's about adults and it's for adults and it's made for cinemas. Gen Z is, as we've seen last month, stepping up. They're getting out of the house. They're going to the movies. It's really exciting. And so do we think adults are gonna step up, or are they just too old to leave the house because they have bad backs like Joe?
Well, you know what's really fascinating? Young people really like this movie. And we've done a bunch of big test screenings. And actually our highest scores are from people under 30. And I love that. And then, I was surprised at first, and then I thought, like, I loved Woody Allen when I was like 16. And I didn't understand the intricacies of the relationship drama in Hannah and Her Sisters, but I was like, that's my movie. I think that we often underestimate young people, not you guys. You guys don't do this. But a lot of people underestimate their intelligence and creativity, and they assume they want something really simplistic. As you're saying, recently we've seen that is not true. They love to go to movies and they love like interesting ideas. But I've been amazed. Like, we did this cool college. We went around to different cities with the film print to project it properly on film. And I was being interviewed by a bunch of college students in Boston, and they were going on and on about the movie. And I was like, can I just ask, like, why do you guys like it? Like, what do you see? And they were like, oh, this is my relationship. I feel this is this is very familiar to me. And I was like, wow, it's not specific to midlife, kind of middle-aged love. It's just people who have lost the ability to communicate and people who don't know if they've lost themselves within a relationship. And that can happen at a very young age too.
Yeah, it's a good double feature with Obsession, I think.
Yeah.
But the answer to that question is adults aren't going to come out. It's going to be Gen Zers coming to see this.
I really hope that
they're everybody.
I hope it's everybody.
Everybody.
But I
not the children.
I was like, when we were the children can come. My 12-year-old son snuck into the sound mix. Well, snuck in meaning I allowed him into the sound mix, and now he's seen me do that role, which is traumatizing. So 12 is too young. But I think the older teenagers and like the people in their 20s, I like the idea of them being able to see it with someone in their, 60s, 70s and have a conversation about relationships as they both kind of see themselves in it. But it's interesting. I think this rigor, this fervor for movies, this thing we're seeing where young people are like going out in droves, and they also really want to support actual film. They love to go and see real film. I think that's going to drive the movie. And then I think, like everything else, the older people will follow, and that I would be thrilled. The reason that when we sold the film, we sold it to A24 was not only do I really like the folks at A24, they were the only distributor at Sundance who didn't describe it as like an adult comedy for the older audience.
Nice job, Ross.
You're just
Fell
like
into
the
the
rest
trap.
of them. No, but I totally get it. And it was interesting to me because when they said that, they were like, we think this is not just for old people. And I was like, that's great to know, but I don't know if I fully felt confident of that until the audiences themselves told us that. And I hope it's true. I just hope we get to play in theaters for more than a week. That's obviously the dream.
I think that's guaranteed. Well, I think we're out of time, but I could pick your brain all day. So thanks, Olivia.
Yeah, thank
you guys.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. The Director's Cut is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share, subscribe, rate, and review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and you can help fellow film buffs find the show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America.